Edge, better known as Adam Copeland now in All Elite Wrestling, made his debut this past Sunday in Seattle. And like I said, I was pretty excited that he made his debut, despite the fact that it was one of those ones that wrestling lately it's not in the surprise world. It wasn't like when he came at the Royal Rumble where no one really saw it coming. We were seeing if it indeed was true, if he was coming or not. Let's see if the rumor mills are correct. And they were. So that's really what we were all waiting out. Obviously, I think the fact that the Christian versus Darby Allin match got the main event. I understand Darby Allin's from Seattle, but that got the main event, that kind of tipped things off a little bit. Before he makes his come out of the back there, gorilla position, I just want to say one thing I'm not a big fan of, and I was watching Dynamite this past week, and it continues to go. AEW's segments are a little bit too long. They just try to beat the point home a little too much. Edge coming out this past week at Wrestle Dream, from when the bell rang to when Edge came out, from when the match ended to when Edge came out, just a little too long. We get it, Christian's, beating him down, and then he's got some reinforcements, and then Luchasaurus, a little too much of that. I think we could have got to the Adam Copeland part first. Excited that he's got essentially his intro, except for the different line, which is told by Beth Phoenix at the beginning, instead of "You think you know me." Now it's "You think you know him." It's said by Beth Phoenix.
Yeah.
But other than that, same song, same intro. Are you excited to see Adam Copeland in All Elite Wrestling, and what are your initial thoughts?
Yeah, it's not a bad move. I'm pretty excited about it. I was right that Edge was not going to be in AEW, so I was correct on that. So good call, good call in the beginning there. But Adam Copeland is now All Elite, and my initial thoughts are, I feel like he's taking the role of CM Punk that was vacated recently, where he's going to be the guy who's been in the business a long time. He's a veteran. Like people generally respect him. I don't know how much they respect CM Punk, but especially these days. But it seems like it was a unanimous situation where people just, as soon as they heard, like, it was like, yeah, we got to have Edge on the team, and he's already going to be in a leadership role amongst the roster. I think it's good. I feel like he's going to have more flexibility, obviously with the schedule compared to WWE. So I feel like he can kind of come and go as he wants, because at this stage of his career, he's not going to wrestle every single week. I feel like he's going to be an attraction at this point, where I feel like he'll wrestle here and there on some of the bigger television shows, but I feel like he's going to save a lot of his in-ring for the pay-per-views. So I do like this. It's It was surprising. I obviously when you hear the rumors, like I've gotten to the point where I'm just numb to the rumors, where I'm like, okay, well, whatever, it's just another rumor. And for once, like, the rumor mill was actually kind of spot on, which it was. So, I think, again, it was one of those moves where I feel like AEW upgraded from CM Punk to Edge, because I don't know too many people that don't like Edge in the business, compared to CM Punk. So I feel like for AEW's morale for their future, I feel like Edge is the right guy. So I'm very pleased that he's there. It stinks that he's not, Adam Copeland is not in WWE as Edge, but you know what? Like, he's still in wrestling, he's still doing it. He contemplated retirement. He's still active. I'll take it for as long as he wants to.
Now, I get it. He had a hot minute in the early part of his career in WCW, but yes, for the most part, he's like The Undertaker. He had a brief cup of coffee with other companies, but his career, 99.99% of it was with one company. He never was in WCW, like in the real heart of WCW. He was never a big time player there. He was never in Impact Wrestling in the time being, Ring of Honor, any of those kinds of things. He was never in NXT. So him being in AEW is definitely kind of a little bit of a shock to the system when you see it, right? It's like, and not calling him Edge, right? Calling him Adam Copeland. Like he even said during the Adam chants on AEW Dynamite this past week, that's the first time, he's hearing those ever. So there's a lot of firsts. That's kind of exciting. It's exciting to see. It's exciting to see him and Tony Schiavone, as he was talking about. He looked up to Tony Schiavone. Who has to talk to Tony Schiavone in 2023 as a wrestler like they're doing it for the first time? But he's talking about Tony Schiavone, how he grew up with him, and again, how their paths never crossed until now. It took all like 40 years from Edge starting training for wrestling to today before those paths ever, crossed. So it's cool to see these kinds of firsts. It's cool to see Adam Copeland in anything that isn't WWE. It's cool to see him in anything that isn't the name Edge. Those are cool things. I will just say, which is, I guess, goes without saying, and that, you don't wrestling has got to be the most addictive drug on this planet, and I guess just like a traditional drug user, you don't really know to trust them when they say things like I'm done this time, because wrestling, how many times they say they're done and they're not, and how many times should they be done and they're not. No one retires. We thought Terry Funk was the joke. Terry Funk was kind of a joke in the early 2000s as a guy who'll never retire. But I think Terry Funk is not alone anymore. Now it's everybody. And same with Ric Flair. We talk about Ric Flair, but Sting has joined that category, right? Edge has now joined that category. CM Punk, he's joining that category in the sense that he should be done because there's no real reason, right? You've been fired from a job twice, essentially. Now, you left the job because it sucked. Then you got fired from a job and essentially said good because it sucked. You're a very pompous person. Didn't at the time, you decide to go out on your own terms, if you will, and not come back, right? What does that look like for you if CM Punk is to come back? But the rumors persist that he's not done, that he's going to come back to WWE, a company he hated, a company he couldn't wait to quit, a company in which makes it so that he will never wrestle in wrestling again if that's the only company that exists. But yet here we are with the rumors thinking he's going to come back to WWE, right? So Edge, I will say that I wish somebody could retire, I guess, for good. He'll join a company of Saraya in AEW as somebody who retired prematurely due to injury and then returned and then essentially retired again. And now is back in AEW, so he'll join them. But let's talk about some potential matches that he was talking about. Jon Moxley, as you know, him and Dean Ambrose never crossed paths in their time in WWE, as Edge was gone and Dean Ambrose was coming up, and then boom, Jon Moxley leaves, Edge returns, so they never crossed paths. So a lot of opportunities. Jon Moxley, Kenny Omega. Who is somebody you'd be excited to see Edge / Adam Copeland face in AEW?
Bryan Danielson. That's the easy answer for me, because I want to see that, because look what Bryan Danielson did recently with Zack Sabre Jr. That was a clinic. I just want to see two bulls lock horns. They're both well seasoned in the business. Obviously Edge is close to 50, and I think Bryan's if he's not at 40, he's pretty close at this point. So but I think their styles would work really well in a match these days, and I think that'd be a lot of fun. Whether or not it happens, we'll see, but I think that would be cool.
I mean, that's did sort of happen. That's 2/3 of your WrestleMania 37 main event right there. Bryan Danielson, Edge, and obviously the current champion Roman Reigns. But there obviously is a chance for him to face people who you never thought he'd face before. A lot of people obviously talk about Kenny Omega coming to WWE and all the potential matches he could have if he did that. Well, Edge is going to kind of circumvent that, and now he's going to AEW and going to do some of those kinds of things on his terms. So Edge versus Kenny Omega can now happen. Powerhouse Hobbs. I don't necessarily think that that's one of these matches that people are really looking at like, oh boy, I'd love to see that, but that's a potential match. But I think what I'm excited to see, at least for the short term, is Edge and Christian and this kind of dichotomy and this kind of storyline. I don't know for sure. I didn't watch it live, but did they cut out the cursing on the live version of AEW Dynamite with Christian this past week? I'm not too sure. If you know, obviously leave a comment below on our YouTube video. But yeah, that was pretty crazy for wrestling. I know it's 2023, but the whole, go fuck yourself line on live television, that's not a WWE approved kind of thing. And I guess we'll leave it at this before we go. I'll ask you this question. Edge and Christian together in AEW, or Edge and Christian feuding? If you were Tony Khan, you're the bookmaker to start this, what are you going at? I want the feud. I want the feud. I want this baby. I want them to brew this baby up, and then eventually, once it's ran its course, then they get some sort of reunion again eventually. I want it to run it like that,
because I think the way they're doing it right now, I think is good because obviously there's going to be some issues there. But eventually you bring it. It's kind of like the Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn situation where you're just like, all right, they're heels again. They hate each other right now, but eventually it's going to flip. They're going to be friends again. They're going to work together. That's kind of what I want to see. And just to clean that up, I was just thinking, did Bryan Danielson and Edge have a singles match? Because that's what I was thinking. Because when you mentioned the triple threat, I don't remember them having a singles match off the top of my head. So I just wanted to kind of circle back there. I don't remember a singles match with them. If I'm wrong, someone please comment below. But I don't think it was a singles. I don't think there was a singles match between them. I think it was the Reigns, Edge, and Daniel Bryan match.
Yeah. So Edge obviously came back in 2020. At the Royal Rumble, and then he won it in 2021. Off the top hands, I don't have Edge. I mean, obviously, I imagine it would be a pay-per-view match if they did face off. But yeah, from what I'm seeing and I'm looking things up, quickly, it was just the triple threat match that they ever.
That's what I thought. That's what I was thinking because I knew there wasn't I didn't think there was a singles match between Edge and Bryan Danielson. When you brought up the triple threat, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense, but I don't remember them ever locking horns one-on-one. So that's why I want to see it. But to go back to the original point with Edge and Christian, again, I do want to see them lock horns, have this major feud. I think that would be fun. Where do you lean on this? Do you want them to be E and C kind of a revamped? What do you want to do?
I mean, a little bit. I mean, I'll say that. I guess, with people's ages, you never can predict the future, and you never can do too much long-term storytelling. So you got to kind of pick one side right now, because you might be the only side you get, because you never know. You got to do it while you do it, and while you can. But, I guess I want to see more why they're feuding. Edge or Adam Copeland, obviously at Dynamite, kind of alluded to the fact that he's, real life friends with Christian, called him Jay, Uncle Jay, that kind of thing. So I guess I want to see why we're getting to this feud, why Christian has this animosity towards Edge. Right now, we just know Edge is put out the branch and we should be back together. Yeah.
They're gonna build it up. That's why I'm more interested in that part of it for now. And I think we've talked about this. We've had many episodes over the last 6 years and change. But I feel like we talked about it before, where sometimes the best feuds are the ones that are feuding between two real life good friends, or in this case, like pretty much brothers. Really, I think those make for the best feuds because you can do those personal shots. And it's like, okay, like behind the scenes, it's like, oh man, I'm glad you did that one. That was cool. Like it was, I like that kind of stuff. So like for me, I want to see that. And then like you said, yeah, they're getting older, both of them. So like their time in the ring, it's not that much longer, I don't think. You never know. Look what Terry Funk did, the late Terry Funk did for forever. But you're right. They could run one side of it and never get to the other side of the fence. So I would rather see the feud and then hopefully they circle back. But to me at this point, the way they're building it, like you can't just be like, really quick, be like, oh, hey, misunderstanding. All right, we're back as a tag team or something. Like now that you're in. And now it's going to be personal shots. You're going to have the reasonings why there's the animosity there. And we're just going to, I feel like Tony Khan will let the storyline play out for a while. He's been pretty good about doing that. So I'm really excited to see how that's all going to play out because as we know, these guys have been best friends for 35 years, give or take. So like, this is going to be a lot of fun to watch.